A new hope has dropped. After the attempts at sabotaging the Nintendo Switch 2 launch have completely failed.
It really drives me nuts that your camera doesn't just focus, and it also drives me nuts that you very obviously wanted a big dramatic intro for your video. Like, this dude was up all night brainstorming how he was going to start the video. He came up with, quote, "a new cope has launched," and goes into this big tirade, and, like, the camera isn't even focused. It's not focused. It's not. Just make it better.
The game journos and the analysts are bending over backwards to find something new to complain about.
Oh, dude, people finding new things to complain about? Man, that must be a crazy life. Not like you. I mean, I never would have guessed you had any problem looking for stuff to complain about. Am I right? When you don't have things to complain about, just make stuff up, right?
So, they can't complain about the hardware. They can't complain about Mario Kart World.
Well, I mean, we can complain about Mario Kart World. I've actually seen quite a lot of complaining about Mario Kart World. You say complaining, I say just criticizing. I've seen a lot of criticism of Mario Kart World. For an $80 game, $90 game, it just looks like more Mario Kart. It's not really setting a great standard for the rest of the industry.
They can't complain about Nintendo's performance as a whole, so they have to resort to their old standby. Trust me, bro!
Can we just play that laugh again?
Trust me, bro!
I want you to clip that laugh, and that's going to be your new wake-up alarm. That's how you're going to wake up from now on. I dictate this, I demand this, put this on your phone.
Like, I have a source at a third-party developer who says that the sales for our game are lower than we possibly anticipated.
I think it's funny that you talk smack for people having sources, undisclosed sources, third-party sources, because on one hand, yeah, no, you're totally right. A lot of the times these sources are complete bullshit. I couldn't decide if I was going to swear or not. I wasn't sure if it was past the 1 minute mark. I'm pretty sure it is past the 1 minute mark, so I'll just say it's bullshit. I won't say it's bullocks. It's all bullocks, that this third party source, no, I get that. I get that a lot of the times these, random, I heard from someone who heard from someone who heard from an official source who heard from someone. A lot of the times these stories are nonsense. Sometimes they're not. Most of the time they are. But that being said, Harmon Smith, look me in the eyeballs right now. There is no fucking way that you, of all people, are trying to criticize someone else for not being a legitimate source of information. I know you, of all people, are not about to try to do that. The guy that just openly makes things up in order to make Nintendo look good, the guy who will literally deny reality if it makes Nintendo sound better, there's no way you're about to start throwing shade at other people for not having legitimate sources.
You know, you have a lot of, known analysts on Twitter, people like ZugiX.
I don't know who that is.
Like, pushing this line of thought, pushing this idea that, no, all of these third-party games are massively underperformed. Nobody's buying third-party games on Switch 2.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about, by the way. This news that came out the other day about how it's believed a lot of third-party games are not selling very well on the Switch 2. Which is interesting. I think there's a few reasons for it. I think a lot of the third-party games that released for the Switch 2 were kind of old-hat games. They're not games that people are going to rush out and buy on the new console. So, of course they're underperforming. I think the bigger question is, why were you expecting them to do really, really well just because they were on the Switch 2? Most of the third-party games available for the Switch 2 at launch were either games that people have probably already played before, or if they're games that people want to play portably, like there's a really passionate community of people who want to play these games portably, they would have already done so on the Steam Deck. Also, the Switch 2 is overpriced as fuck, and so are all the games. There's a lot of reasons why the Switch 2's third-party selection wouldn't be selling very well. I don't know how legitimate these reports are, because, again, they're coming from inside sources, and inside sources can mean fucking anything nowadays. I'm just trying to say that assuming the reports are true, I mean, it's not hard to believe.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, what third-party games? What has come out on Nintendo Switch 2?
Wasn't Nintendo themselves using Cyberpunk as a giant selling point of the system?
That would encourage people to buy a day one release. Everything that the major third parties put out was an old port or a broken, unfinished game.
Broken, unfinished. Wait, hang on. Rewind. What broken, unfinished game was released on the Switch 2?
Like, the big third-party game that the industry tried to sell you on was Cyberpunk.
Oh, I see. You're trying to say Cyberpunk is a broken, unfinished game because it was broken and unfinished 5 years ago. But then it was patched up, and that's not an excuse for the game launching that way, but also Nintendo themselves have been putting a lot of marketing juice into Cyberpunk's Switch port. So, really, what is your point right now?
And that had nothing to do with the Switch 2, but more out of a desperate attempt to try and, damage control CD Projekt Red, which is probably the most woke, active, relevant gaming studio in the world right now,
CDPR does not really need any damage control. They've stepped in shit a few times, but they certainly don't need damage control. Their reputation with the masses is just fine. Annoyed as I may or may not be about that, CDPR is doing just fine. See, this is what I'm talking about. You talk shit about other people for not having, legit sources, but now you're saying that journalists are just trying to damage control CDPR when CDPR is doing just fine. These are, these journalists, man, fuck them and their fake sources. Also, let's just make some shit up.
Journalists pushed Cyberpunk, over much better games like Street Fighter 6 or Fantasy Life 2 or Fast Fusion Neo. And they're...
Journalists did that, or did Nintendo do that? Did journalists push Cyberpunk over other third-party Switch 2 releases? Or did Cyberpunk and Nintendo push Cyberpunk over the other games?
They're complaining about the alleged sales of other ports. And I do need to come out here and say alleged, because everything I've seen, over the past couple of days seems to indicate that games like Street Fighter 6 and Fantasy Life 2 are actually doing pretty well. Okay.
Well, I can't wait for you to show your sources. I mean, you're always so good at showing your sources and making sure you're a really reputable piece of information on the internet here called YouTube. I'm sure you're going to do your best to make sure we believe you.
I have seen no indication that major third-party releases on Nintendo Switch 2 have failed.
Okay, great. So you've seen something that made you really confident in it. Let's see it. I can't wait for you to show us. You're not going to show us. You're just going to say, trust me. You say, again, earlier in the video, you're like, man, all these sources with their trust me bros. But also, listen to me, because trust me, bro. You can think one way or the other. You can think third-party Switch 2 games are doing great. You can think third-party Switch 2 games are doing shitty. Right now, or at least at the time of the making of this video, and at the time of making your video, we didn't have confirmation either way. All we had was hearsay one way and hearsay the other way. You can't dismiss one as just a pathetic trust me bro, but then be okay with a different one because trust me bro. That's not how this works.
It's just not something I've seen personally. I'm sure there are a handful of games that aren't relevant or talked about. Deltarune is a good example.
It's not relevant or talked about, but also I immediately know what it is.
But this idea that nobody's buying any games on Switch 2, it's just a gigantic cope.
Well, it's not any games, it's third-party games. Now you're not even quoting your own report right.
And obviously so. But they can't damage control the hardware sales. They can't damage control the software sales for Nintendo's first-party titles. So they have to kind of cope and seethe by hyperfixating on this alleged, claim.
You're doing the thing where you're acting like there's some kind of, industry-wide bias against Nintendo, when in reality, Nintendo can literally get away with whatever they want, because the industry will not hold them accountable for it. It really bothers me when people do this. Nintendo got away with $80 games, they got away with $90 games, they got away with bricking people's consoles in the user agreement, they got away with overpriced hardware, they got away with a button on the system that doesn't even work unless you pay extra. They get away with all of this stuff, and it's perfectly fine with the industry. But now you're being like, the industry's bending over backwards to find things to hate about Nintendo because they hate Nintendo. It's like, dude, come on. If the industry wanted to write takedowns on Nintendo, it is open season on stupid things that they're doing.
This narrative that Nintendo Switch 2 underperforms when it comes to third-party games. It's just...
Why is that so hard to believe, though? Why is that hard to believe? It's like I said earlier in the video, I find it perfectly believable that third-party games would be underperforming. I'm not sure if they are, but given the circumstances, I find it perfectly believable that they could be. But here you are just dismissing the very concept of it. Why? Why are you so confident? Oh, everything I've seen has shown that third-party games do really well. Can we fucking see it? Because all we have to go off of is reports saying otherwise. If you've seen things that say the reports are wrong, show us. My God, I've never seen someone so passionate about proving their points right, but also so dedicated to not showing their work.
It's just so laughable and so out of touch, especially because this is probably the strongest third-party launch we've had in a very, very, very long time. Actually, probably ever, honestly.
I mean, sure, if we just want to talk about the variety and the lineup, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a system that launched in the middle of the year, in the middle of a console generation, with a third-party lineup of games that weren't new. So, like, of course they could be underperforming. That's perfectly believable. That's what I'm saying.
Like, seeing these people just, like, try and desperately keep the narrative towards Nintendo negative, it's just not gonna work.
Again, what narrative is there from the mainstream? If you're talking about, like, from specific people... Can we hear who?
I do think that, like, anybody who's remotely familiar with the Switch 2 can just go on the eShop right now and see that, like, oh yeah, I can buy Raito, or I can buy, like, Street Fighter 6 or Fantasy Legacy. Like, there's just all these, like, there's just all these options.
No one was denying that the options are there. There's just questions about whether or not the options are being purchased.
For, like, third-party games. But, like, the community desperately doesn't want that to be known. The Switch 2 is a console that is competitive with the PS5 and the Series X, because once third-party gamers make the jump over to Nintendo consoles, it's pretty much over for PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and mobile.
But why would we do that? I guess I count as a third-party gamer. I play a lot of multi-platform games. I guess that's what you're referring to. Like people who buy their platforms based on the third-party game selection. In which case, I have no idea how you think the Switch is going to take over the PC. Like, are you kidding me? Nintendo's limited-ass, curated-ass third-party game selection is going to overtake the PC in the eyes of third-party gamers? My boy, that's just not going to happen. Why would we come over to... You say it's like, once the third-party gamers come over to Nintendo systems, it's over. Why would we come to Nintendo systems? Why would we do that? Nintendo doesn't seem to want us there, and that's fine if they don't want us there. They're doing just fine for themselves without us. But, I mean, like, why would we go over to Nintendo systems? The third-party game selection is very limited, very overpriced, and the performance isn't great. Why would we go over to Nintendo? And Nintendo doesn't seem to want us there because see above point about how the prices are high and the performance isn't great and the selection is limited. They're obviously not that concerned with drawing in the third-party centric gamers. They're more concerned with drawing in casual gamers and people who care about the first-party IP and people who want something more portable. And that's okay. That's okay if that's what they want. But why are we just, like, ignoring what Nintendo openly wants from their consumers? They don't want the third-party centric gamers. They've sacrificed their appeal to the third-party gamers. They sacrificed it a long time ago.
And the industry knows that and is doing everything it possibly can to kind of protect their interests and keep these inferior gaming studios, like, artificially, like, talked about and relevant, Yeah,
it's all a conspiracy. It's all a conspiracy from the journalists, from the gaming industry, the gaming outlets that entirely rely on revenue and good relationships with the big publishers. It's all a conspiracy from those people to try and tear down one of their most financially...
Like, there was no excuse. There was no reason for Cyberpunk 2077 to be seen as the big third-party launch game on Nintendo Switch 2.
I mean, on one hand, you're just being stupid because Cyberpunk is a gigantic game. The fact that such a gigantic game could be even up and running on Nintendo console, a Nintendo handheld console, that in itself was supposed to be like the big technical appeal to it. So on one hand, you're being stupid, but on the other hand, you're not being stupid because I kind of agree that Cyberpunk should have been the big third-party thing. The big third-party selling point game should have been Backyard Baseball. But Backyard Baseball is not even on the Switch 2. So, like, why would you buy a Switch 2? There's no Backyard Baseball. fucking idiot. Kill yourself if you don't play backyard baseball.
Right? It didn't deserve it. It's glitchy. It's unfinished. It's not a good game at all. And yet we're supposed to believe that this was like some masterpiece of a game because CD Projekt Red worked on it. You know.
Sorry, you're not boring me. You're not boring me. I just didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I'm not bored of you. You don't make me want to pull my own eyeballs out. You don't make me want to start breathing backwards.
Like there's just. It's just pathetic. It's just downright sad. You can look at the bestsellers list on Nintendo Switch 2 actually on the eShop right now and see that there are quite a few third-party games in the top 10.
You know what? I'm gonna fact check this. That's an interesting thing to do. Let's go ahead. Nintendo eShop. Let's see. Explore. There's featured, there's okay, here we go. First major problem here is I don't actually think I can fact check you properly because if you go to the eShop, there's not actually a tab for most popular. It's just featured, release date, title, and price. So if this is what you're using as your source for like, oh, look how well the third-party games are doing, that's not actually, I mean, I can't fact check it. I'm not sure how you fact check it. Maybe you have your own inside sources that are definitely more reputable than other people's inside sources. But just out of curiosity here, we'll sort by featured, okay? We'll sort by featured so that when you open the eShop, this is the first thing you see. Got Nintendo games, Xenoblade Chronicles. So we have to scroll down this flippin' far to get the first prominent third-party game, and then it's right back to Nintendo games. Yeah, if this was supposed to convince me that third-party games are doing just fine on the eShop, I want to know where the fuck you're looking at the eShop, because I don't see that anywhere. If anything, this just made me believe the reports even more, that there's not really many third-party games doing too hot.
It's just kind of remarkable. So, like, I don't know if, like, there actually is a source at some third-party developer, like, claiming this, but, like, I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that it's not true.
Oh, okay, so we went from not trusting third-party sources to saying there's third-party sources planting information. It's all a conspiracy now. So the trust me bros are dumb and we should laugh at them, but also we're just making up conspiracies now. Okay, I'll bite. Keep going.
Like, what do you mean, like, games aren't selling well on Switch 2? You know, like, like, do you mean that they're not selling as well as Mario Kart? Like, Grand Theft Auto doesn't sell as well as Mario Kart.
It does, actually. Grand Theft Auto sells more than Mario Kart.
You know, so, like, I'm just sitting here, like, thinking to myself that, like, these guys are just coping. They're just seething.
Okay, but you gotta give us something, you know? You gotta give us something. Everything you've given us has made me believe the people that you're trying to disprove, which, you know, is hashtag the opposite of what you're supposed to do in a video like this. If they're just coping and they're just seething, you gotta give us a reason why. If you're so confident that that's what's happening, you gotta give us a reason why. Also, I paused the video on this fucking frame. Dude, that I just found my thumbnail. Thank you. Continue.
They're trying everything they possibly can to downplay this console and downplay every major game that comes down to it. And, like, I have to wonder, like, when people are going to wake up. Because, like, people have, like, you know, become red-pilled on, like, the first-party Nintendo games.
What does that mean? They've become red-pilled on first-party Nintendo game. What the fuck does that mean?
They're beginning to become red-pilled on, like, the hardware. But, like, when it comes to third-party releases, you know, I think for a long time, the giant cope is going to be, it actually always has been, this idea that, like, third-party games do way better on PlayStation and Xbox because those are the real video game consoles.
Well, those are also the video game consoles where a lot of third-party games continue to come out. Generally speaking, if there's a console that does really, really well and is like the best-selling platform for third-party games, the third-party developers and publishers don't just fucking stop supporting it. That's usually not what happens.
So, like, I'm really curious, like, how long that narrative is going to continue when, like, you know, anyone who's serious about this hobby is primarily playing Mario Kart or Donkey Kong Bonanza, you know?
Oh, okay. Anyone who's serious about the hobby is playing playing the Nintendo games. Anyone who's serious about the hobby is playing Mario Kart. I'm convinced you're from space.
If you're the sort of person who's, like, gooning over Stellar Blade or, like, hyping up Astrobot or whatever, like, I don't take you seriously. I don't respect you. You know, like, it's just, that's just the reality of that situation.
You don't respect people who play games outside of Nintendo's ecosystem. Are you capable of growing a neck beard? I've never seen you with facial hair. I don't know if that's just because you shave it, like you go clean shave it, or if you're literally not capable of it. That was completely unrelated to anything. Dude, I'm so tired. I'm so tired and I'm so bored. You need to do better. This is insane.
And, like, I really wonder, like, how long this is going to keep up before people start noticing the patterns. Like, because
there's no pattern. You're just making shit up.
This happens every console generation, where every single time these people come crawling out of the woodwork and try to say Nintendo is doomed.
Well, I mean, with the Wii U gen, they were right, but I know it's kind of a difficult topic.
And it does need to be pointed out that these people's jobs are not to analyze the industry and to actually, like, report on trends. Like, their job is to downplay Nintendo.
Yeah, no, totally. That's their job. That's all they do. All they do is downplay Nintendo. How much is left in this video? Fucking 1 minute and 13 seconds. We'll power through. We'll make it. We got it. We can do it.
And their successes, and their games, and their hardware. And you can see this in just how they react when it comes to these kinds of situations, because they're not excited about the Switch launch. They're not, like, you know, excited about reporting on which game is doing well, and, like,
no one was excited to report on Nintendo. Okay, nope, continue. We're gonna finish it.
And things of that nature. Like, no. Like, what they want to tell you is that third-party games are failing on Nintendo Switch 2, and that really demonstrates their mindset when talking about this console.
This was out of the news cycle in, like, 20 minutes, by the way. The thing that you're hyper fixated on was so not a long-term news story.
They want to steer you onto alternative platforms.
If you're a third-party game player and you care a lot about third-party games, you don't care much about Nintendo first-party games, yes, you should be on different platforms than Nintendo. Other platforms will fulfill your needs better. How is this even up for debate?
And this is very observable if you pay any amount of attention to these people at all. And I do think going forward that, like, the community really does need to rally and start condemning these narratives before they can take hold.
Wait, so we should be condemning the narrative of a game selling poorly before it's confirmed if a game sells well? Is that what you're saying? That we should be condemning narratives of a thing before we even know if it's true one way or the other? Because on its face, that does sound like a good thing, yes. We should be condemning narratives that have no basis in reality behind them. I agree with that. Look me in the eyes right now. I agree with that. Do you agree with me that we should be condemning narratives with no factual or, like, objective truth behind them? That we shouldn't just be making wild accusations and blindly taking the side of a corporation over a consumer? Do you agree with me? Look me in the eyeballs right now. Do you agree with me, Harmon Smith? Do you agree with me about that?
I'm sure there are plenty of games on Switch 2 that haven't done well, but that's true for every single video game platform ever made. It's just the nature of that industry. As a whole, the Switch 2 launch has been extraordinarily successful, but the gaming analyst community cannot bring itself to admit it.
It's done. We did it. We got all the way through it. How far into your flask did you get? Because mine's empty. I gotta tell you, I don't know what to say anymore. I guess we should be looking out for the dangerous cabal of game journalists who are just always looking to downplay Nintendo. Because that's the world we live in. Dude, I need a coffee. I'm gonna fucking explode. Okay. And I'm not talking out of my butthole. I don't know why I said that. Okay, toodles. Hello there, dear viewer. I'm currently out of town. I want to do the Doofus Club, instead I have to frown. The 7th of July is when I will return. You have until that date to make your name a burn. I summon you, O Doofus, to change your silly name, so when I record the next end credits, I have but myself to blame. Fart Nugget Poopy Spit Sack. Adam Raz 26, Max Killer V2 Gaming, Kyle Ward 789, Nate Blast 1314, Jimmy Chops, Mom Close the Door, I'm Goonie, Michael Musial, Master Killer, Firestorm 2056, Demetrius Papagiorno, Showbiz, NCNA, Banshee, Tom Schnorlax, and Ed Omega Mole Theme, Dan Porterbridge, Dan Porterbridge is One Man Savage, Binary Deviant, Oracle, Unknown 186718, Kev Dog 1992, Joe from Furcon, Official Dregs, Mashdar, No Mom, It's Mine, I'll watch as fast as I want, Bear Brain, Epion 504, Grimsy, Edge Knight 1789, The Caffeine Addict, Corporal Dixon, Kushka, Unicorn Rocco, El Antigrievous 2005, Thunder Fondue, Ass Shitter 69 420 Remastered Poopy Edition. Look, listen, appearing offline does not fucking stop it. Tom from Spokane, Raisinger, Sense Nakage, and Non-Volod, Take All Biddies, Partial Mean 8, Nick, Volksalto, JJ Dusty, Held a Nuva, Cod Stop It, Codman 4372WX. I need a stupid name for Joe to read out loud for everyone to see. Celerock, Gold Pyrac, Alderoth 01. I pay for this with a stolen elderly woman's card. Doug Nixie, Smile, Snake Eyes 327, Devastator 2000, Joe, please let us touch it. Tip you, Joe, please let us touch it, you sexy man. MK2396E, I'm still on the vote. Joe, please get help. Hentai X, Machina Gamma, Elite Wolf, Fire Hazard 105, Plato Penguin, GWXSS, Rast the Wolf, MK, Okie Toodles, Jack Gaming, Jungle Zone, Slim Jim, Really Zerg, Gaming with the People, All Games Video, Japanese name that says, oh no, Joe is out of town, however will I goon with myself. Todd Howard is our Lord and Savior, Chris Void, Pope Ralph on the Rat King, Jessica Spiral, Jessica Shepard, Riki Spiral, Riki Tiki Tabby. Muskie, that video was not funny. Joe, you should cut that. Grooming the Steel Angel, Nintendo and PlayStation Fanboy Civil War is coming. Jason Jason Bond, Baron Von Vaderham, Cyrus 6771, don't call me doofus, it hurts my feelings. True Text 940. I'm Joe's phone, text notification ding.mp4, the first doofus, Creed Warrior 23, Max Chev. Chap is going away for a while. Take care for now. Totally Insane, Vedota Autry, Black Cobra, the Enwall Slayer, Night of Cypher, and ML04. I own 6 cards that click 2006 on Blu-ray. Oh no, it's a Bald Banana Man, Wolf of Midnight, Stick Rider, Pig Venus, Sequence Studios, Film McCracken, Ohm Gaming, Tariq Brown, Thorn Scan, Back and Neck, Severin Evans, Sonny 03, Scoutlander, Fricka Y, Mixer, Pow Pow, White Trouble, Donnie Weston, Nick Donegan, Draws Max on Twitch, Come Hang Y'all, Gov Gosson, Rogue Winter 919, Bobby Hinner, Kenny Kitten Fanny, Hangman for Hire, Elden Noble, Frost Crystal, Biogenesis, Ian in Action, Pump Pinkus 97, Mega Keys, Crevice Go, Ghost Ho, Rias, Agony Judge 06, Vast Crow, Raptor, Tim the Amazing Blight Man, Blue Hook, Jeff from Portland. I'm using my Steam Deck as my main PC. Nice. Jody Breeze, Smitty, Worker Jägerman Jensen, Max Lorel Cholo, Zord, Big Advertisement, Diego Garcia, JJ Dusty, and my Kimmikins, I American Idiot, Darth Muffin, I don't know, it's Justin, Rand, Twin Women, Mechanical Raisins, and 6 Dream the Wolf 7, Joey Scoops, Negative Taku, Joe, no, Negative Creep, Joe Taku, Poop P Bang, Cat Chicken Sucker, Mom Banger 8008, Wannabe Hobo Jidge, Westabilla 310 Char, Rub C, Veg, Groovy Banana, Curd, Now it's back to Scrum Master Scroll with the gun, makes my pee nuts go pew pew. You're stuck with that shitty ass reading for the next, week. Okay, toodles.